How's it going, everyone? I thought today I would bring you my top 10 base locations for Ark Survival Evolved. So let's get right into it. Alright, here is our first location. This location is roughly 7635. As you can see, this is a really big area. I'd probably only build here if I was in a really big tribe for PvP, but for PvE this would be a really good spot. You have a lot of room to work with. This entire side over here, oh that's bright. This entire side over here is actually just one big cliff, as you can see, drops off pretty well. So there really wouldn't be many ways to get up here from land, except from over here in this tree line, and then of course where we just were, you have the two little natural ramps, I guess we'll call them, that go up there. But that'd be a really good spot to build, for especially like PvP. If you're in a big tribe, that'd be a really decent spot to build. You're close to the water, you're close to pretty much every resource. There is metal right there, that hill over there, all those trees are. There's some metal over there, but then you have the volcano straight ahead and that mountain right there. So that's our first location. Now let's move to the second. Alright, here we are at our second location. This location is roughly 5824. As you can see, this is another good spot. This would actually work for a big tribe and even a smaller tribe as well, medium to small tribe, 4 to 5 people, maybe even 6. I probably wouldn't build here if I was a solo player though, because it's pretty much in the open for the most part. But this entire side over here is nothing but a cliff all the way around, and you have water all the way around this side of the cliff as well. There's a lot of spawns right here too. A lot of spinal. There's a spinal right there. Actually, you can see them. A lot of spinos do spawn down here. This cliff wraps all the way around. Your main way to get in would be probably right here, right up there. There's a way to get up right there. You can wall off pretty much anything you needed to. Honestly, this spot is usually pretty much taken on every server I've ever played on. This spot's always been taken, and usually people build their base right there. Right where that tree is, which makes sense. That's one of the hardest spots to get to because there's a cliff on both sides. But you could wall off pretty much as much room as you needed here. It's a pretty big space. So let's move to location number 3. Alright, and here we are. We are at location number 3. As you can see, right where that tree is, that's where people normally like to build their base. This would be a really good spot for smaller tribes. Medium-sized tribes would just be a good spot too. If I had more than 15-20 people, I probably wouldn't build here though, just because there's not a ton of room to work with, especially if you have a huge tribe. But as you can see, there is a cliff, starts right at that waterfall, and it wraps all the way down, all the way up here, around this tree up here. And so, if you usually see this spot taken, people usually put their base right here, right where I just land my bird, which only makes sense because there's cliffs on both sides. It's pretty hard to get up here, especially if you're trying to attack people. Like if there's already a base here and you're going to try to raid that person, it's pretty hard to get up here with land dinos. Because the only way up here is right here, and then you have to come from the woods, which they usually, it's usually walled off by something, walls or behemoth gates, spikes, something's done. But this is a pretty good spot, especially if it's your first time playing the game. I would build here, especially if I was a solo player. This would probably be a spot I would build. This is roughly 50 and 18. So let's move on to location number 4. Alright, here we are. This is location number 4. Now this is in the snow biome, so I do not recommend you trying to build here, especially if it's your first time playing the game, because it probably won't work. This is a very hard biome to actually have a base in. But this spot right here, as you can see, goes back pretty far. This spot is really popular. It's usually taken. Every time I've played on a server, it's always been taken by the Alpha tribe because it's a really good spot to build. Usually you start like right here. It's a nice spot to build a base. You do have this cliff that wraps all the way around, which again, usually like everything I've seen, it's always been like spikes usually, and just a few metal walls will be up for it. And the only way to get down here that is right here. That little ramp right there is the only way to get land dinos down here. Which is good, that's good, because, there's not multiple ways to get to your base on land, there's only one way. I mean, they could come off the cliff, I guess, but I really don't think that would work well. But then you also have down here too. You can build right down here. And the really good thing about this spot, and that's why a lot of people like it, and it's such a popular spot, because this iceberg out here, because there's something really, really special about this iceberg, and let me show you. See these pools of water right here? Those pools of water actually go down all the way right into the ocean, which means you can bring your water dinos up and leave them right there. And so you can even make a base out here too, have like a backup base, secondary base right off your main. And as close as it is, it's gonna look really good, and your base is gonna look really huge. And you could even use this right here. I mean, you could make this like a little bird pen if you really wanted to. The birds come right out of these holes. It's a really, really prime spot to build. I'd only recommend it if you're in a really big tribe though. Like if you're a solo player, I wouldn't build there. If that spot is not taken, and you're like a solo player or a small tribe, a lot of people like to build right here though too. This is more like, I guess this location's like a 2-in-1. This spot's a good spot to build right here. You can put your base right at the end. There's only one way to get out here on land, and it's just it's a few walls to wall off this area. You can go like straight across somewhere, like probably right in here if you really wanted to, and you're done. The only downside is, it'd be really hard to fit a Rex up here. I mean, you could do it. You have to like walk him back and forth a ton just to move him around. But that is location number 4, kind of a little 2-in-1. So let's move on to location number 5. Alright, here we are. This is location number 5. As you can see, it's a pretty decent spot. This is actually one of my more favorite spots, but it's always taken. Every time I've been playing on a server, it's always been taken. And you can probably see why. There's cliffs that go all the way around. And usually where those trees are, it's usually where I've seen people build their base. And it's a really decent spot though. You're right at the water, you have your water downs right down there. Like all these cliffs, and then really all you have to do is wall off this area. Everything I've seen, they'll go right from the beach to the water and go all the way across and wall it off. And then you have this huge area. Or you could even wall off right here if you really wanted to. It just depends on your tribe size. This would work for pretty much any size tribe. It's a really good location to build. Right next to the water, you got a lot of resources. There's a mountain right there for metal. You got that mountain, the volcano in the distance. There's a mountain right there. Usually there's more obsidian and crystal spawns there that I've seen more than metal. And then of course you have Carno Island, which is a good place to level your dinos. So let's now move to location number 6. Alright, here we are. This is location number 6. I am sure if you've seen any other, top 10 base location videos on YouTube, I'm sure this spot is in all those videos. This is one of the best known spots in Ark probably. This spot is always taken. Every server I've been on, this spot has been taken, and I'm sure you can see why. It's just such a beautiful spot to build a base, especially for PvE. A lot of people like building here, but for PvP, it's also not a bad spot to build either. You have the cliffs around pretty much the entire side here, which you just throw up spikes, walls, nothing too fancy, just enough to hold people back. And you can pretty much be set, and you need to build your base. I've seen a lot of bases get built right here in this little rock overlooking the water, especially a lot of PvE bases. But I mean, you got your source of water, all the resources are just around you. You can wall off all these entryways. It's a really good spot to have a base. It's a really good spot to, especially like if you're a medium-sized tribe. I've never seen really any big tribes back in here because I don't think there's enough room for them, but who knows? I've only played on a few servers, but like I said, this spot is always taken. If it's open, I would definitely take this spot. Now with that, let's move on to location number 7. And this is location number 7. Now as you can see, it's a pretty big spot. It'd be really hard to build here. Let me get a little better angle here. There we go. It'd be really hard to build here as a solo player, especially because you'd probably want to wall off, this entire area that you can see here. Usually though, every time I've seen a base here, it's usually on this rock right in front of us here. I usually see people use pillars from what I can tell. It's really hard to get close to people's bases, But it's not a bad spot to build at all. Especially if you're a big tribe, you can wall off this entire area and you're gonna have a lot of room to work with. There's actually one tribe I saw, they actually had this huge sniper's tower, I want to call it up here. But it was just packed with sentries. And they had their main base right here. And then all their big dinos you'd keep right here in the center. It's a really good spot, especially since you have a big water area right here. though this doesn't connect to the ocean, so you won't be able to keep water dinos in here. You're really close to all the, I don't really want to call them rare resources, they're not rare, but I guess harder to find resources like metal and stuff, crystals and obsidian. You're really close to the mountains. It's kind of off the beaten path, so you're not going to come across a lot of like new spawns and stuff. It's a pretty ideal location. It's not always taken either, so I definitely check this spot, especially if you're, it's your first time playing. This would be a pretty decent spot to build because you have all the resources you need right there. Alright, and now let's move on to location number 8. Alright guys, here we are. This is location number 8. This is an island, and it's called Herbivore Island. It's called that obviously because of all the herbivores. That's the only thing that's supposed to spawn here. But after the Christmas update, as you can see, there's some Argents spawning here, and they haven't seemed to go away yet. I'm not sure when that'll be fixed, but I'm sure it will. This spot is actually a really good spot to build. I'm sure some of you probably was not expecting this to be one of the spots, but this is a really good spot to build because you'll probably be the furthest away from any other big tribe. Just because a lot of tribes like to build up in the north because that's where all the metal spawns are and stuff, and they won't take the extra minute just to fly over there to get metal. Now if you're careful with how you build, this island actually does spawn metal. There's one right there, you can see it. And this metal spawns all the way around the top here. Let me see if there's any more over here. There's some right there behind that Bronto. And if you're careful with how you build, you can actually keep those spawns there, so you can just keep getting metal from the island itself. All the natural resources are out here, wood, stone, everything you need to be out here too. But as you start building, those spawns will get blocked. So you might eventually have to go across the water there to the other side to get wood and stuff, but it's not that big of a deal, especially if you're in like just a tribe with a few people. This is a really prime spot, and it's usually not taken because, like I said, it's so far away. A lot of people don't think to build this as their base. Personally, I have before, but in a tribe, and it worked out really well. We lasted a really long time, and we actually used this lagoon right here to put all our water dinos, and everything fits in there. All the water dinos have fit in there so far, because you can just wall off like these entryways right here. Here's one, here's another one, and you have this bigger one right here with behemoth gates, and you can get out and get pearls and stuff. And you can use these small little islands right here and put up sentries and stuff, air defenses, and it works really well. So this is location number 8, and now we're gonna move on to number 9. Alright, and here we are. This is location number 9. Again, this spot would probably be a lot better for a PvE base because a lot of people like building in these kind of crazy spots. But it has its own little lagoon, a little pond, I should call it. It's not a lagoon, it's a little pond. I have seen people build here in PvP though, and what they'll do is, like smaller tribes or solo players, they'll build pillars and they'll build on top of these rocks, like this rock right here. I've actually seen a few bases on. But this is a pretty good spot to build. You got all the resources you need right next to the water. There's some of the underwater caves. There's like 3 on this side of the map, and they're pretty close to this. You could put your water dinos right there, obviously. I don't know if a water dino could fit right here though, like in this little pond area. You might be able to squeeze a dolphin through there, but I'm not exactly sure. But this is a pretty decent spot to build. You could even just wall off like an entire area with behemoth gates. A lot of people like to build behemoth gates. I personally use just walls though. It looks a lot nicer. And make this a base. Like I said, this is probably be more of an area for a PvE base. All the bases I've seen out here on PvP haven't really lasted long, but it's still a really cool spot just to build. So let's now move on to location number 10. Alright, here we are. This is location number 10. This is located right next to the green obelisk there, as you can see. Right on this cliff. Now the spot is usually taken too. I've seen a lot of people build out here. Especially in PvP, because there's only 2 ways to get up here by land. Right here, as you can see, this little ramp that goes up, and then you just come through the wood lines, which is kind of annoying to get through, but people could do it, which you set the wall off. But honestly, I've seen a lot of people put bases right here on the edge of this cliff, and they'll have like an interior wall going across, and then they'll put a wall around everything else, just because to keep their dinos safe. but it's actually a pretty good spot. You're right next to the water, right next to the swamp, so if you get a frog, and I know it's nighttime, it's really hard to see, just hang on a second. I'll wait for that to go past, and we'll keep going here. There we go. You turn next to the swamp, so if you get a frog, get cementine paste. It's right next to the water, pretty close to the mountains. There's that mountain right there. That's not even a mountain, like a little hill. Metal does spawn there, and there's a good amount of it. That mountain right there has a pretty good amount too. Right there, they left a volcano, and of course, the volcano, which is usually the most used area, and some servers it's actually blocked off by alpha tribes, which kind of sucks. But it's a good location. The only issue I have seen with it is a lot of people do travel around here, so people are gonna know, like right off the start, like if you're building there, it'll be known. But guys, that's it for today. That's our top 10 base locations on Ark Survival Evolved. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.